All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man, Jay. Yes, this is my current Samsung lineup, folks. We've got the Z Flip 4, the Z Fold 4, the S23 Plus, and the King here, the S23 Ultra. Now, you say, Jake, the King, yeah, I think if I were going to name a phone of the year, this phone right here would be it. I mean, over every phone that's pretty much come out lately, this one has proven itself, and it has the history to back it. I'm a Note fan, and this is basically just a Samsung Galaxy Note, but in much better hardware, much better battery, much better cameras, same S Pen, beautiful, just a beautiful setup. And I am ecstatic to see what they do with the next version of this. But that's not what this video is about. Samsung reservations have opened up. So there's a link in the description if you want to reserve yours and get a little bit of cash off when you decide to buy your new device. But the Fold 4 is getting ready to come to its end, and the Fold 5 will be replacing it. Now, this phone right here is a great device, but I think of all the devices here, for a person that wants kind of, I would say, consider an ultimate smartphone, I would tell them to get this phone because it's traditional, but it still has some extras that this one just doesn't have. You can't put the pen inside the device, but it has pen support, so you have to carry your pen. This one has it all in one. It's got better cameras on paper. It's got better cameras, and you get more cameras on this one. So this is beautiful. And it needs to be replaced by something really good, because now that Google has come out with the Pixel Fold, obviously, you know, you're watching, some people are just watching videos on the Pixel Fold and you're judging by what you're watching, but I implore you to just buy it yourself. You can only get so much information from a person, even myself. I don't exclude myself. You can watch my videos all you want to, but I still implore you to buy it yourself. And ever since the Pixel Fold dropped, Samsung has had their hands full. Because, you know, this device is just, it's such an awesome device, and it's hard to ignore. It's just a beautiful piece of hardware. Samsung really should have done this design. They really should have, but the Fold 5 is going to look exactly like this, folks. And that's not a good or a bad thing for me. I actually like this, this design, but it doesn't compete with what Google is doing here with this design. This is way more traditional when it comes to a folding phone. It's acceptable to have an outside display that is extremely usable. You can use this with one hand very easily. You get a more smartphone feel with the outer display and this overall. And this phone is super thin. So they did a phenomenal job with this thing, man. And Samsung is really going to have to really do something to really get people to get on to the Fold 5. They're going to have to. Look at how thin this phone is. It's thin. Very thin. I think you don't really know how thin the Pixel is until you actually get it in your hands and you're using it. And it's not very heavy when compared to some phones, but it is heavy. So Samsung's going to have to bring the thunder when it comes to this device. Now, again, reserve the devices, and I think you'll be happy. But I think the biggest thing that's going to get an update is this beautiful phone right here. The Flip 5 is getting the biggest update of any Samsung phone to date. It is rumored to have a very large outer display, and that is the one I'm extremely excited about. I've got my money ready. Like all things that come out, I'm a real tech enthusiast, and I buy and collect the phones anyway, and so I just happen to do YouTube. So this device right here, to me, is great. Now, Samsung obviously still hasn't mastered the art of getting rid of the gap in there. All their flip phones have it, or folding phones have it. That doesn't bother me, though. Some people were really bugged by that, and I don't care about that, to be honest. It's not something I've ever really harped on. And I also have not harped on the price of the Samsung phones. They are extremely expensive. This is $2,000. A lot of people who are buying Samsung phones, they're buying them on a trade. They're trading in other phones and getting the phones for pennies on the dollar. But when it comes to just buying the Samsung phones, a lot of people don't do it. And then, you know, you'll hear people talking, oh, you're stupid if you pay full cost. No. You just don't want to trade in your good devices. I don't know if you remember last year I said I'm probably done trading in these great devices that I could probably just keep, give it to family members, or just sell and make a profit off of with the cash instead of being looped into Samsung's trade-in game. Because really, that's the really only advantage I feel Samsung has, is they have fantastic trade-in deals, but you're stuck in a loop once you do that. that you're going to give up a device that's actually really worth more than what you're giving it up for. And you know how they messed everybody over this past year. Yeah, those trade-in deals shocked a whole bunch of people, and the internet went to crying about it. Oh, I can't believe they're doing this. That's how it works. So anytime a new device drops, just go ahead and look for a bunch of petty stuff to happen with it. People complaining about the price, yada, yada, yada. It's always, all of these things are really expensive. And if you can't afford them, or you can't afford to get them, you just have to move on to something that you can afford. And the great part about Samsung is they have phones that are actually affordable, just like Google. The A lineup for a lot of companies is the way to go. Period. It is the way to go. And Samsung's new A54 lineup, or the A54, that phone is phenomenal, and it is basically the S23 Plus, and it's the S23 basically. So you have your options there, but I'm feeling like the hit maker for Samsung's devices is finally going to be the phone I was preaching and telling people to get a long time ago. I said, get this phone, man. Don't get the Fold. The battery's trash. Some of the batteries on the earlier versions were not good, but if you bought the Flip 4, there's no way you're going to tell me that this phone does not have good battery. I don't know what you're doing on your phone to get poor battery on the Z Flip 4. It just doesn't exist, man. I mean, and for some people, yes, you will get bad battery life. You will get bad battery life, but I really implore you to try out the Z Flip 4. You don't have to jump straight to the Z Flip 5 if you don't want to. This phone right here is great. Look how beautiful that purple is, Thanos on it. I mean, you're going to have to make a decision of what you want to buy, but I tell you what, I think the Z Flip 5 is going to be a smash. It's going to be a hit because the Z Flip 4 pulled a lot of people in after having the 3. They didn't change anything. They made like bigger battery. They did minor things, but that bigger battery really helped that device. And I'm telling you, the Z Flip 5 is going to get hit in a certain way. They're putting a bigger display, so they're going to rumored to put a bigger display. So they're going to have to put a bigger battery inside. Even if they make it a little thicker, who cares? Give it a big battery. That's what we need. A bigger battery in these flip phones, because this, people cried about this battery being the same size. We forget all these things. So people cried. This phone had more complaints than I could remember. All the Z Flip line folds and flips, just Samsung's folding lineup had a ton of complaints. Tons of them. People had a whole bunch to say about this device, and I think it's a phenomenal device. Is it overpriced? Like I said, once you get past $400, you got to start explaining yourself. People said, "Oh, the Z Fold 4 should have the S line of cameras." There's a bunch of opinions out there, and I just kind of listened to them and just like, well, they don't have it anyway. So I mean, their opinion, it's okay, but we got to get past this point of complaining about the pricing on tech, because it's not going to change, folks. The only way it's going to change is if people stop buying. And the reason people won't stop buying these devices is because they're not paying full cost for it. They're doing trade-ins, or they're getting them on carriers for 48 months, and they're paying pennies on a dollar monthly, and that's what they're doing. So as I sit over here where I live at, I try to pay full cost for everything because I don't want to be tied to a carrier. And I know, unfortunately for me, these pay for themselves with the revenue from YouTube. And can't get any more honest with that. With the revenue of YouTube, these devices are paid off probably the same month, or at least 2 months. They're fully paid. And that is why I'm going to keep on buying them, because I'm making the money to buy them. I don't have to use any of my retirement. I don't have to use any of that. My stocks, I don't have to do any of that stuff. I just use the revenue from YouTube because that's why I got into YouTube. I love tech, and I can keep giving you honest reviews and just working through the storm, because not all videos make a lot of money, but depending on what it is, your devices should be able to pay for themselves depending on how much time you're putting into YouTube. And that's just, I can't get any more realer than that. So if you call yourself a creator, you really shouldn't be complaining too much about the pricing, because if you're putting in the work, these things are paying for themselves. Now, if you're a creator who doesn't get the views or the revenue from your channel, okay, work harder. It's about the only thing I can tell you. If you want to buy all these things like some of us do, work harder. It's a huge blessing to be able to get a lot of devices at no cost from companies. But after a while, like we saw what happened right here, there is Team Pixel, but Team Pixel wasn't sent jack. And here's where we get into the real Team Pixel members, I say. I was spinning that bread long before there was a Team Pixel. And I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue to buy all this stuff. SophieGuard.com to grab yours right there. But I'm going to continue to buy this thing is freaking awesome too. I mean, I'm going to have to give you a follow-up on this, but this battery on this thing is sick. This is the Pixel tablet. This thing is crazy. If you hear people saying that this tablet is bad or it's not worth it, you probably should check out who you're watching. Be careful and mindful of who you're getting reviews from or you're watching. I'm not saying that they're wrong in their opinion, because that's really all it is, but this freaking tablet is crazy, man. But anyway, Samsung needs to do this design. This is the design that is desired by everyone. Everyone wanted a new design, and when they didn't do it, hey, Google got theirs out there. Samsung, it is time for them to do theirs. So there's a reserve link. And you can reserve your Z Flip 5 or your Z Fold 5. I plan on getting both. Obviously, that's what I do. I like the text. So I'm hoping that there'll be a Apple, one more thing from Samsung. I'm hoping that they'll actually bring out another folding device. I wouldn't even be mad at Samsung if they took a shot at Google and releasing this device right here as the Fold 5 SE or FE for $999. It could be this exact same device. And call it the Fold 5 FE for $999. I wouldn't even, and put it 128 gigs or 256 gigs storage, call it a day. 128 gigs. I wouldn't even care. Bring an SD card back if you do that. But I wouldn't even care if they did that and just use the same hardware, because Apple has mastered that. Apple got the same phones out over and over again, and they're just rebranding them with different titles. Great marketing. They're going to be able to sell those continuously. But the iPhone's coming too this year, and we're going to get some Type-C. And Samsung, man, I'm telling you folks, if you have the S23 Ultra, you've got one of the best phones on the market. While I call the Fold 4 the creator's choice, this is the all-around ultimate smartphone for anyone if you don't have a budget. If you have a budget, go look at the A-line or go look at some of the Pixels A-line. There's plenty of phones out there, but to me, this is like the ultimate smartphone. Hard to put down once you start using it. That's why I'm keeping my SIM card in my Pixel Fold, because this is just that good. This hardware is phenomenal. The cameras are great. I've actually been using these cameras to record a lot of footage on the channel, on my car channel. So the Tesla videos, all done with this phone right here. And I'm super excited to bring you more content on the Tesla. But nonetheless, Samsung reservations are open. They've been open for a while now. But I feel like in the days to come, we are going to see a phenomenal push towards the Z Flip 5. Because a lot of people are getting tired of bringing the same phone with a different color. And all you fanboys out there for saying how great the Fold 4 is, keep that same energy when you get the same device in a different color and different internals and all this other kind of stuff, and no major changes. They really have to bring the fire. You don't want to admit it, but the Pixel Fold is the hottest phone right now. It's the hottest folding phone right now because there were no other folding phones other than this phone and this phone that were official in the US. So you can fight it all you want to. The Pixel Fold is winning right now. You can watch all the videos about R1 returning it. Let me just be honest here. Those are just people trying to get you to view their videos, because you obviously bought a device knowing what it didn't have prior to buying it. So again, be mindful of who you're watching, folks. That's all I'm saying. Not saying I'm right, not saying anyone's wrong, but just kind of consider the source. I bought a phone for $1,800, and then I'm going to complain about the price of $1,800. I bought a phone with no input, but with no pin that comes with it, but I'm going to complain that it doesn't have pin support. I bought a phone with the Tensor 2 chip, and then I'm going to complain that it has the Tensor 3 chip. Keep that same energy for Samsung. Please do. This is your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. I speak from experience and firsthand with all the devices. There's very few creators out there, but there's a lot of influencers. You got to be able to differentiate the two. It's your man Jay. Can't be any more honest than that. See you in the next video.